Wait, what is happening? An intuitive, new, fresh idea that no one saw coming that's actually good for both WoWs and free to play? Man, who would have thought? I actually like this event. Okay, so what's going on? What is the cool event? Well, Raid Shadow Legends has come out with an idea to start running bonus events for artifacts, which if you know, you've played the game long enough, you know artifacts are one of the hardest things to get in the game, especially if you're trying to get a certain artifact. And I want to show you, the artifact bonus they're running is a 10x for stun, okay? And stun is arguably the most versatile, useful piece of gear in the entire game. It's good in PvE, where you can use it in both Doom Tower, Faction Wars. You can see my Inferno Baroness has stun set pieces on, okay? My Fushan has stun set pieces on. And the reason is I'm using these characters to carry through waves that I otherwise might not be able to beat. It has an 18% chance to place a stun. Now, 18% chance to place a stun is pretty good on stun set, but here's where it gets more crazy. When that 18% chance procs, unless they have block debuffs or he hits weak, that stun will always land. It cannot be resisted, meaning that resist chestplate, resist banner, all of the additional stats, plus in PvP, when those guys have really high resistance and they're relying on that plus HP and like a shield set that you can't remove and all that to kill them, it automatically will destroy these people because they can't resist it. Now, granted, it has to hit the 18% chance, and you have to do Fire Knight and actually get the stun set, which is where this event really starts to get interesting. It's a 10x event, 10 times the chance to get the stun set. And I don't know about you, but it seems like Savage and Stun, the two best, the Fire Knight drop right alongside crit damage, tends to be the rarest to get out of the Fire Knight for some reason. And now with the 10x event, it costs nothing to get a bonus chance of getting that stun gear. This is great for PvE people just trying to beat the campaign all the way to late game WoWs, trying to play hard mode on the Doom Tower. It has its use universally. And this is a really encouraging artifact event for us, because if they continue to do this, imagine a 10x speed set bonus on Dragon, coinciding with a Dragon event. Now, if you want to be a pessimist, we can put on the pessimist hat for a minute and think, why would they potentially do this? Well, what they could be doing is doing a 10x event for the Fire Knight, where you drain your energy or something right before a new fusion. Or maybe they do during the fusion, when the Fire Knight tournament's over, then they run a 10x of the Fire Knight or something like that. Doesn't have, it could be the Dragon. I'm just using an example here. And maybe they try to do a way of always having something to focus on, don't necessarily double dip. I have to stretch pretty hard to be a pessimist on this one, because stun set bonus is good for everybody for the reasons I've already explained. And on top of that, it's not like it costs anything to do this event. There's no entry fees for this. It's not a tournament where you're going for first place and get knocked back down. You just have a 10x chance of getting these bonus stun sets, and that's really encouraging. There's currently no announcement in-game to let you know that the 10x is going to be starting, but it will start tomorrow. So wait till you do see that 10x in-game, and I'm sure they're going to do some kind of, summoning beam or something like they do during the 2x events, for instance, or the 10x events from the summoning portal on the Fire Knight to make it even more clear. Now, during this event, do I personally recommend, if you're free to play, to go for this event? Yes, I do. Normally, I don't recommend events, if ever, okay? But yes, stun set is highly important, and the ability to get a stun set early would be one of the things I wish I could do on almost any of my free-to-play accounts. I might even log into my free-to-play Season 2 to get a few pieces of, like, real bare level 1 type stun just in Stage 1, for instance. It might actually be worth it. That's another good thing about the stun set, is the stun set does not require levels on the gear to be useful. The gear itself can be a level 1 artifact, and you can throw it on like a level 50 character and use that as utility for Faction Wars or Doom Tower or what have you, depending upon what level you're at. Stun set is useful regardless of the situation. Unless you're fighting a boss. Stuns won't land on bosses pretty much ever. Yeah, never, because bosses, as you know, are immune to stun typically. Now, there's like things like the Provoke set, which have a higher % chance to proc, and Provoke can can land, we did it, on things like the Magma Dragon, for instance, okay? So there is a use for these type of set bonuses. for instance, even on bosses. But the stun set in particular won't trigger on the boss. But it is useful because the stun set does not require level 16 artifact, for instance, to make the gear fully usable. There's other games, for instance, like Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, that in order for a set bonus to work or have double the effect, for instance, it has to be fully leveled. It would be like if the stun set was 9%, then when it hits 16, it's 18%. And, hold on, DM, don't give them any ideas, right? But it doesn't do that in this game. So it's doubly as generous. This is really a good event all the way around, and I do recommend putting energy into this one. I know I will be, because I still have a couple stages of Faction Wars left, and the Doom Tower is not completed for me. Okay, DM, you sold me on these stun sets. Now, let's say I get some. What should I do with it? Who does it go on? Great question. Typically, the stun sets are going to want to, you like how I said great question to myself? Stun sets are going to want to go on people that typically have either multi-hit randoms or hits that are AoE based upon the A1. So when you go to look at your stun gear and you're like, who gets this? You might want to consider people who are hitting constantly, and by hitting constantly, I mean hitting everyone. Look, it attacks all enemies. It was the ally with the lowest HP. Second move, attacks all enemies. People like Sylar, people that hit everyone all of the time. Stun sets do actually proc individually per person, meaning when you do an AoE and the stun set procs, it doesn't just trigger the proc for the whole AoE and 5 people get stunned. Each person gets an individual chance to roll, meaning it's fresh RNG every time, and meaning you probably need to have that AoE, okay? Because an AoE will more than likely get 1 stun on a 5-man AoE. It's 18% chance, and there's 5 for it. You almost always get a stun. For that reason, definitely an A1 that is AoE. And here's the bonus part. Stun sets and gear sets trigger off call to assist. So if you have like a Longbeard or even the epic, I forget the epic's name, Cadaver or something, he's an undead guy. Okay, I'm sure it'll come to me here. Catacomb Counselor. If you have somebody like him that charges in allies, you can make use of that character paired with an A1 character that has an AoE on everyone, like Ray, if we use a legendary, for example. And that will then trigger the stun set, or attempt to trigger at least the stun set, one more time. But keep in mind, block debuffs counters this effect like block debuffs counters everything. A good example of a person that could potentially use stun pieces is somebody like Allure. For instance, Allure on her A2 does defense down as a chance to sleep people. Where on her A1, she hits 3 times and removes turn meter, meaning we can use her A2 and the random hit of the A1 to stun people for the waves, but then when we get to the boss, she can actually decrease the turn meter as well, as long as we have enough accuracy with our stun set. This is 2 forms of potential amazing CC, both for the boss as well as the waves. So when you're building out your stun character, just use your basic brain power to figure out, who's really going to optimize this piece of gear. Now, there's a few reasons this is really encouraging from a player point of view, looking at the game long-term health. And that is, there's events other than just summoning things happen. Summoning is the most expensive thing to do in this game. We all know that, unless you're spamming arena constantly, because those refreshes can add up. However, the fact that they're willing to do events to promote other parts of the game that are essentially extremely free to play, just energy based. I mean, just stuff we're gonna do literally anyway, especially if they do these type of X10s when they coincide with like a clan versus clan tournament, for instance. Imagine being able to just spam Fire Knight, getting a ton of stun points, and then they do, or stun set, on top of they add bonus points for Fire Knight in that clan versus clan. It could really make clan versus clan make some sense. It can make people actually focus down on one thing, and the clan versus clan would maybe boil down to which team is conquering the Fire Knight better. It doesn't even have to coincide with things like clan versus clan. They could throw these type of X10 artifacts on top of like a Fire Knight tournament for a fusion fragment. Kind of the opposite of the pessimist hat from earlier. We could look at it from an optimistic point of view and be like, even if they throw these, on nothing at all, meaning literally the worst time they could put them where the only thing that we get out of this is just the stun set bonus, it's still great value. The bummer part could be if they decide to start doing 10x on things like the Kyrian sets in Fire Knight, things where they think, okay, tell you what, now we're going to do filler. Now we're going to make this dungeon worse for some reason. And they start 10xing artifacts that we all kind of agree aren't good. If they keep the things like Fire Knight, Savage, crit damage, it'll be great. But then there's probably some random player out there who's really just a fan of a curing set. They're trying to build some kind of, crit heal apothecary, into Ironclad Explosion or something. It's going to be really salty when they don't do certain artifact 10x's, and they'll use that as an excuse to do them. That might be what's in the future. I don't know, but what I will tell you is if they actually continually select good pieces of gear, meaning they go from stun to savage to speed, things of that nature, taunting sets even would be acceptable, reflex from the ice golem. If they start doing set artifacts like that, we might actually start to see the proliferation of other types of artifact sets making it into the meta. For instance, it is a little bit unfortunate for me, even if it is statistically the best, that teams such as Double Man Eater, Unkillable are the king of Clan Boss. How great would it be to see full relentless comps in Clan Boss with amazing speeds? How amazing would it be to see teams that are fully built out of reflex to just try to trigger their charges over and over again or something? My favorite team that I run is a 5-man full relentless set with double charge, Roto, Straco, people that have extra turn potential, Lanicus, for instance. And it's really funny to watch the teams pop off. Now, I'm not saying this is going to change the meta, and that's quite a reach just from an X10 stun tournament. But what I will tell you is that if they continue to go down the route of making other pieces of gear more common in people's accounts, eventually you're going to see that gear pop up, or eventually you're going to see somebody use that gear to do something that we haven't seen yet. And that is encouraging for the game. So to wrap up, do I give this one a thumbs up? Yeah, I do. This has the DM stamp of approval. This is both encouraging and a good event. I'll be curious to see what comes of it in the future. If you're free to play, do I recommend doing the event using your energy? Yes, unless you're finishing out the fusion or something. Or is the fusion over? I don't even know, because I never recommend really doing them, to be honest. I do actually recommend for both free to play and well this Fire Knight. I think this is great. And on top of it, I'm rather interested to see going into the future what this is going to be like. Now, I don't have any information from my other content creators on their opinions on this yet. I'm interested to go see some of their videos, and I want to know what the community themselves' opinion is on this. So let me know both optimistic as well as pessimistic opinion. Let me know what you're thinking about. Subscribe if you were interested in this talk and the information it provided, and like the video if you just want to help me out with spreading this video to more people. I love you all. Thanks for watching this video, and consider watching one of the other ones I'll show you here at the end.